Hello everyone and welcome to the Anime Daily, and thank you for joining me as we talk about the second floor deep sea fish arc, or as some people call it, submerged fish. And this arc again was one of those short arcs, yet it was jam-packed with lots of brilliant and creative story writing that helped tie up with the previous arc. This arc, for me, was something to be appreciated and something that was well creative and thought out. So let's start off with Bam. And I have to say, the visuals for this kind of arc really do help to kind of sell Bam's emotion and gratitude towards Rachel in this arc, as we see more of his backstory in when he was trapped inside that very dark, isolated sort of cave-like area. As we see that he's very desperate and scared, Bam tries to climb his way up towards that glimmer of light that's shining down from his ceiling. And once he realizes that he can't get out this darkness and that he is trapped, that desperation turns into despair, until Rachel helps him out and guides him, coming down from the light, ascending like an angel. Seeing that emotion on Bam's face throughout the whole ordeal and the whole flashback was really telling, as it helped kind of add to the whole flashback, making it more impactful and more meaningful, giving it a lot more substance. I found myself actually really liking this part of the arc more simply because I could actually see it and visualize it a lot easier than, say, reading it in, say, like a light novel or something. So from that aspect, I really did appreciate it, and the art style has always been improving with each and every chapter that this series has gone on. So that, again, marvelous. So the whole note situation and Khun's plan being explained / laid out, I absolutely loved. I loved the sort of revelations that unfolded in this part of the arc, in where Khun was teaming up with other characters like Dorsey, Rachel, Lauro, which, on a side note, the way that he persuaded Lauro to get onto his side and help him with his plan by getting into his sleeping bag was really creepy, I'm not gonna lie. I liked how Rachel knew about how being a bit sketchy and maybe possibly making a move on her in terms of kind of going after her to get at Bam, as it makes sense now why she left her light cube partly on while she was talking with Hal. This was, of course, to basically alert anybody if anything wrong went wrong. And this was really smart, and it adds to Rachel's character a little bit more. And with Dorsey, also, taking Bam with her, I thought was really confusing. I wasn't quite sure why she did that, apart from that whole kind of lesson about, how the tower really is, how you have to betray and step over people in order to climb, and basically testing Bam to see if he was ready. This obviously was one of the reasons why Dorsey took Bam with her, but again, it was actually a cover-up because Khun asked Dorsey to basically just look after Bam, just in case Hal made a move directly, which, of course, she failed. Even the way they explain how Khun got Quint involved was really well and clearly laid out. The whole process was explained in a very easy and understand manner, to the point where, you wasn't scratching your head trying to read every line 50 times to understand what was happening and why it was happening. It was so clear and precise and to the point that it actually made me kind of really enjoy and appreciate what they were actually giving us. Overall, I found this plan created by Khun was really well written, and it showed off just how creative and detailed this webtoon series actually is. This is all of kind of the whole idea of the pieces fitting together when you have a certain story. And it helps explain certain things that seemed a bit off in the events that unfolded prior to this information being given to us. Like I said, Rachel leaving on her light cube, and Dorsey and why she took Bam with her. This kind of all helps add to those kind of reasons and pieces together, I guess, which basically just makes everything move a lot smoother and ties it off nicely together. That, for me, shows a really good series, and it shows that the creator and writer of the series has a lot of care and a lot of time and effort put into it. And for that, I give it a lot of respect. What more, the way that the events was structured and displayed really helped establish the idea of a ranker being behind Hal receiving the note. as the way they kind of have prior knowledge about the people who are on the team, and obviously knowledge about Bam and Rachel's relationship, because Rachel is called Michelle Light, not Rachel. And obviously this was all done before the test, and that is a big clue that Khun basically has at his disposal that helps him gain this kind of thought process about a ranker being involved. If Howard received this after the teams had been announced, then he wouldn't have much substance behind himself when giving this kind of hypothesis to Leirero. However, because it was done in this way, in this manner, it kind of served as a foothold, so to speak. And you don't have to be Khun level smart to work out who that person who gave Hao that note actually is, or who basically instigated Hao being given that letter. As, you know, we've got an idea as to which ranker was involved. As it can't be Quint, because Quint helped Bam out, and it wouldn't make sense. Why would Khun basically manipulate and try and get Quint to help them if he believed that Quint was on, you know, the evil side? And it can't really be Leirero, as he seems to be unaware of these events and things that have happened. So that only leaves Hungsang Yu. And what's more, stated and shown in the past, Hungsang Yu isn't the most trustworthy guy around, as he's been shown to be a little more than sketchy, more occasions than one. Now, sticking with Khun's character, we do get some great character development from his character in this arc, and that comes in a form of personality and growth, which is something that we don't often get from his character. We normally get a display of his smarts and his cunningness, but instead, we actually get more backstory to his character, and this really intrigued me. As we get more information about his relationship with Maria. Now, the way I interpreted this whole segment with Khun wondering what he was missing, you know, since he helped Maria get that spot on the king's throne. So basically, he got Maria to be a princess of Jihad. And the way that I kind of thought it and kind of interpreted this was that Khun was missing companionship. And this paired well with the idea that Khun is now thinking that Bam might not climb with him anymore. So he's a bit kind of upset and lost because he's lost a teammate. And more importantly, he's lost another friend. Which obviously turns out to be wrong because Bam still wants to climb for Rachel's sake and becoming Rachel's legs, which kind of sounds a bit creepy, but hey, this is how we're going with it. But yes, I reckon that Khun is actually just wanting someone to kind of be around. Yes, it sounds cliche, it sounds a bit too shonen, but Khun just wants companionship. He wants someone to basically be there that he can kind of relax around and be who he actually is instead of being someone that's scheming and kind of trickery and tricking everybody. He just wants to be open and honest and himself around someone. And with Bam, he can do that. He probably could have done that with Maria, and that's what he is missing. Now, I could be wrong about that. You might be sat there thinking, nope, he's completely wrong. But if it's not a massive spoiler, you can tell me in the comments. But I never thought I would say this, but Rax, you have to applaud. I have to applaud you? Yes, that's it. I have to applaud you for what you said / gave that speech to Khun about the whole, what I would have done if I was trying to get my sister on the seat next to the king. Now, I'm not sure if this was intentional, but it wasn't 100% clear as to what Rax was saying. As in, you couldn't follow on with him directly, because what he was saying was gobbledygook. But at the same time, it's very smart writing, because you can actually understand what Rax is actually going on about. Rax is basically saying that, you know, what I would have done is, I would have become the king myself, so I could stay with that person. I would never have to lose or give up that person. And to me, that makes sense. But the way that Rax kind of said it, didn't. And then, of course, it started to sound even more weirder when he started talking about bananas. Which, to me, was just Rax trying to convey across that it meant that, you know, it was important to him. I guess bananas are important to Rax in this kind of version of the Tower of God instead of chocolate bars. So, in this instant, Khun Maria would be Khun's banana. I don't know. Rax, you have some weird kind of phrases and comments, but hey, you got the message across here, and you're basically trying to convey that across to the reader, and you know what? Pretty good. Plus, Mini Rax was pretty funny, and the comments about him being a stuffed toy really made me laugh a lot. And seeing the immature side to Hungsang Yu was pretty funny, just like running rings around Rax going, oh, sorry, you were too small for me to notice. Oh, sorry, you were too small for me to notice. Oh, once more, please. And I thought that was great. You know what? I had a big smile on my face reading that part. Super, super cool. Now, speaking of Hungsang Yu, the speech with himself and Ren, who is a Royal Jihad enforcement kind of agent / person, which is disguised as one of the teachers that was actually teaching Bam Shinzu at the time. The guy in a sheep outfit, basically. I can't remember what his actual name was, or supposed to be. But this segment of the arc was fantastic. It built up the tension and the plot, so we now know that this powerful spy has infiltrated the kind of test grounds and is now after Anak and the 13-month weapons that she possesses. It's also worth noting that he's after both of the princesses of Jihad, so this could mean something spicy is on the way soon. But I think my favourite line from this entire segment between Hungsang Yu and Ren was Hungsang Yu displaying his title in this panel right here. This panel felt epic, as the visuals were basically in the background of like his kind of, I don't know, serpent-like monster dominating Ren's kind of creature that he sent out, which kind of just establishes that Hungsang Yu is the dominant force of this floor. He is the deep sea fish that is waiting for people to gobble them up, or something similar. Whatever it says on the screen here. You've seen it, you've read it, most likely, and I thought it was a brilliant panel. Now, this whole segment really does help kind of build more suspicion and give more of a tense vibe to Hungsang Yu's character, because it adds a bit of mystery and it increases that tension and keeps you guessing as to what Hungsang Yu is actually going to do. He's so unpredictable in this arc that it just makes you kind of wonder and speculate on every single action that happens. You have to keep watching Hungsang Yu and see where he's going to go soon. So it wouldn't be a Tower of God arc review without me doing a self-insertion edit. And this isn't actually that important, if I'm perfectly honest with you. It's just something I thought was a little bit creative and a bit funny, so I thought I'll add it in. So while I was getting the pictures and editing this, I noticed this vending machine, and it had a picture of all of the rankers that we currently know so far. And honestly, are they like posing for a boy band or something? Like, I want to know what's going on with that. Do they have to like mandatory like advertisement for their own machines, or is it just the fact that Hungsang Yu was promised coffee at an unlimited rate or a cheap rate if he managed to do some advertisement or posing, but he had to get 2 other people with him. And of course, those would be Hungsang Yu, Leiroro, and Quint. Anyway, I thought it was a bit funny. Nothing too super important or super detailed, but yeah, let me know what you think of that, and go back to normal video. Overall, I really did appreciate this arc. It's clear from reading this that the twists, the build-up of this arc were created in a very creative and skilled manner, with a lot of respect given to each segment. Now, I will admit, I did not talk about the Len and Shibusu kind of segment, because honestly, I didn't find it that appealing. I mentioned in my last review that Lennon's character is actually doing a good job in making me invest in her, but this time around, I just wasn't that interested. So if there was something big that I missed in there that foreshadowed something or kind of was meant to kind of be put in, let me know, and I'll give you my thoughts in the comments, I guess. But one thing I wasn't a big fan of in this arc was Endorsee's new design. I personally don't think this hairstyle suits her very much, but that's just a personal thing for myself. Now, with Hungsang Yu becoming more and more unpredictable and sketchier by the minute, and with Ren seemingly going after the princesses of Jihad, what will happen next? Will Rachel be able to climb up the tower with everybody else? And will those doubts that are being planted inside of Leiruro's mind grow, causing him to confront Hungsang Yu in the future? Well, we'll have to find out next time as we continue this series further. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button and please consider subscribing so you never miss a video from me. As after all, I do more webtoon and anime related content on a weekly basis. Plus, I want to know what you thought of this arc down in the comment section below. Any of the points I raised that you don't quite agree with, or you think I actually explained very well, let me know. Feedback is always appreciated, and your thoughts are always interesting to read. So, with that out of the way, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll speak to you very soon. Arigato, matane, goodbye.